What's up everyone, the Sly and Sonic fan here, and today we are going to be paying a visit to Gotham City, and I am going to be counting down my top 10 favorite Batman movies. We all saw that new Batman trailer, and we all think it looks amazing. If you don't, I'll find where you live. So it'd be nice talking about some good old Bat flicks. I was actually planning on making this video months ago, but I never got around to it until now. Recently, I watched every single Batman movie leading up to oddly Batman vs. TMNT. Now, the only rules about this list is I'm not including crossovers or spin-off character movies. So movies like Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Joker, which is my favorite movie ever made, and Batman v Superman, which I'm also a fan of, is not going to be included. So with all of that said, I'm going to start talking about some Batman. Let's begin.
Let me go!
Come on, back up. Back up. I was reloading.
Why would you play it
No.
Coming in at number 10 is oddly Batman Forever. I know, this is a really dumb movie.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll get drive-through.
Batman is more horny than usual, Robin is a crybaby, and this is easily the worst adaptation of Two-Face I've ever seen. But hey, at least they did Riddler right. But I am still really excited to see a new iteration of the Batman. And plus, after Tim Burton decided to no longer work on the Batman series due to so many complaints of Batman Returns being quote-unquote too dark despite being a freaking Batman movie, they decided to hire Joel Schumacher to direct the next Batman movie with a more light-hearted tone, but it was for some reason set to take place in the same canon as Tim Burton's movies. So not only did this movie relish in comic book cheese, but it did so in a series that was already established to be a dark and gritty take on Batman. So yes, while this movie is really dumb and campy, it has this weird charm about it that I can't really explain. I have no idea why I like this movie. I don't even like it that much, but it's honestly a charmingly dumb, a true product of its time. And while this movie is dumb, it still somewhat takes itself a little seriously, and Schumacher hadn't gone insane just yet. So yes, while this movie is pretty stupid, it's charmingly stupid in a sense that reminds you of classic superhero movies made in the 90s, and it comes in the number 10 spot. Coming in at number 9 is Batman Returns. Now this movie is constantly criticized for being unnecessarily too dark or unfocused. While I can see where they're coming from, I really like this movie. This movie is more of a Penguin movie than it is a Batman movie, and what they do with Penguin is really special. Since Burton thought that Penguin was a boring villain, he went for a more wild and unhinged version, which paid off so well it went and inspired future interpretations to either replicate or at least reference this type of personality. Not only that, but Tim Burton actually does a great job of crafting a sympathetic monster.
My name is not Oswald. It's Penguin. I am not a human being. I am an animal. Cold-blooded.
All of that, along with an amazing soundtrack, great side characters like Catwoman, and Batman being Batman, makes this movie take the number 9 spot. Coming in at number 8 is The Killing Joke, the animated adaptation of the comic under the same name. Now, if this movie wasn't based off of anything and it was its own original movie, I'd love it much more. In fact, if the first 40 minutes of this movie was cut, it would be in my top 5s. For those of you who are unaware of what this movie is, it's an animated version of the comic book story that is known as one of the best Batman stories of all time due to how well it treats the Joker and just how well written it is. So naturally, an animated film was in order, and I honestly don't know what to think of it. The animated version of this story adds an entire 40 plus minutes at the beginning of the movie, which shows Bruce and Barbara's relationship before a certain incident happens. And while the concept itself is cool, it's poorly done with an uninteresting antagonist, poor pacing, and bat sex between Bruce Wayne and Barbara Gordon. Why? However, once the movie starts with the actual comic book portion, it turns into a scene-by-scene retelling of the comic, and since the comic is amazing, the movie naturally starts being amazing. This has made me ponder over and over if this movie is good or not so many times, because the added 40 minutes aren't good, but things get amazing once the Joker actually shows up, but the movie doesn't do anything different once it starts retelling the comic. So therefore, does it deserve to be praised for that segment? Honestly, I don't care. I don't own the comic, so this is the best I got, and I can always skip the bad sex and get to the amazing stuff. and that's why The Killing Joke takes the number 8 spot.
All it takes is one bad day. That's how far the world is from where I am. Just one bad day.
Coming in at number 7 is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I know I'm gonna get my head ripped off by a Batman fan since this movie is regarded as one of the best Batman movies of all time, but I'll get into my gripes with this one in a bit. First off, I just want to say I can see why this movie is so beloved by fans of the series, and I think it too is amazing as well. There's a lot of deep character insight into Bruce Wayne, and there's one scene in particular that's so powerful, it's one of the best Batman scenes I've ever seen. Joker is great in this movie, and the animation is great for its time. So why isn't this Batman film higher in the list? Well, 2 reasons. 1, this movie mainly focuses on Bruce and a love interest of his named Andrea, and I'm sorry guys, but I really didn't care about these two's relationship. It just felt so unnatural, if that makes sense. And while this relationship does lead to some good scenes, I still didn't care about it. And Andrea isn't a horrible character or anything. In fact, I think she has a nice personality, but I really wasn't invested in her nor her and Bruce's relationship. Second, this movie drags. There's a lot of good scenes in here, but everything in between those good scenes go by so slow. So yeah, everything exploring Bruce is great, the animation is nice, all the characters are decent, and there's some really good scenes here. But I just wasn't invested in everything involving Andrea, and this movie's pacing is awful. However, I can definitely see why this movie has its fans, and I love it too, despite maybe sounding a little too negative. However, I'm not as in love with it as the majority of Batman fans, and that's okay, we all have our opinions. And that's why Batman Mask of the Phantasm takes the number 7 spot. Coming in at number 6 is The Batman vs. Dracula. Yes, you heard me. Batman vs. Dracula. Now, in terms of characterization and plot, Mask of the Phantasm is superior to The Batman vs. Dracula. So why in the world did I put a movie about Batman vs. Dracula above Mask of the Phantasm? Well, sure, this movie may not be as complex or emotionally challenging as Mask of the Phantasm, but this is a really fun ride. Similar to Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, this movie makes full use of its concept and really does have fun with its premise. Like for instance, when Dracula mistakes Batman as a huge fan of his, or when Batman gets understandably mistaken for Dracula and is hunted down, one of my favorite scenes in the movie when Joker turns into a vampire and robs a blood bank. Not only that, but to see Batman go against vampires along with the Dark Lord himself is something I'm sure me and many others didn't think we'd want to see but ended up loving. Mixed that with some great animation, a fitting soundtrack, cool character moments, and good fight scenes, and you got yourself a really good animated Batman movie. And that's why The Batman vs. Dracula comes in number 6.
You are Bruce Wayne.
I'm the Batman, and you're dust.
Coming in at number 5 is Batman Begins, the first in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. Compared to The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, this entry is constantly overlooked, and unfairly so, because this is still the best Batman origin story I've ever seen. Well, at least in movie form anyway. This movie shows Nolan has huge respect for the story of Bruce Wayne and the creation of Gotham's savior. The first half of this movie is really strong, detailing Bruce's inner struggles and showing his full transformation to the Caped Crusader in such a mature, grounded, and brutally realistic way. While this movie does underutilize villains like Falcone or Scarecrow, it does do Ra's al Ghul a lot of justice. Mix that with the excellent soundtrack and impressively grounded fight scenes, and this movie is the perfect Batman origin story, and that's why it comes in number 5.
I won't kill you. But I don't have to save you.
Coming in at number 4 is The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2, another animated Batman movie based off of a comic story. Now that Bruce Wayne is an old man and he's settled down and hung up the Batman cowl, Gotham crime rate is at an all-time high. However, once Bruce realizes he can't let Batman go, he dons the cowl once more and takes to the streets to fix Gotham. Part 1 consists of Bruce getting back to the groove of things and taking down an admittedly intimidating crime lord, but things get crazy in Part 2, where the Joker becomes functional again once he sees Batman has returned and he starts wreaking havoc. Meanwhile, the government calls on Superman to take down Batman, and the dynamic of Superman allowing his gullible and heroic nature to allow him to become a pawn of the government, and having Batman's vengeance and anger turn him into a vigilante fueled by both criminals and the innocent, it's just really brilliant. And one thing about these movies is they do not hold back. Despite being animated, the fights and blows are really hard and brutal like any good realistic Batman story, and once the Joker starts killing mass amounts of people, it's really shocking and genuinely disturbing. Not only are these movies a perfect character dissection of Bruce Wayne, but it hits hard with brutal action and scenes that make 2020 Karens have heart attacks. These two movies are amongst my favorite animated superhero movies, and it comes in number 4.
You're feeling it now, aren't you? What the rest of us live with every day. Your own mortality.
Bruce, your heart.
I wanted to remind you to stay out of my way. In all the years to come, in your most private moments, I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
Coming in at number 3 is Batman 1989. I know, this movie isn't an amazingly accurate portrayal like the Batman we know today. However, what a lot of people don't understand that not only is this movie's shortcomings just a product of its time, but this is one of, if not the most important Batman movie ever made. Until this movie, people had the campy 1966 show. This movie was the first thing to expose non-comic book fans to the true nature of Batman. I know that Batman kills in this movie, and I understand that ruins the whole point of his character, but what a lot of people don't understand is the fact that the Batman character wasn't as concrete or established as he is nowadays. So at this point of time, people were still experimenting and molding the character into who he is today. From an objective standpoint, this movie is still a kick-ass superhero movie. What with the great action, excellent soundtrack, and nice dynamic between the Dark Knight and his despicable arch-nemesis. Speaking of which, this movie's Joker is so underrated.
Oh, I got a live one here. Oh, there'll be a hot time in the old town tonight.
Not only is he played by the amazingly talented Jack Nicholson, but this Joker is actually pretty funny and made me laugh out loud many times.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
While this movie is dated and doesn't portray Batman accurately, and it's also not too character focused, it has a memorable soundtrack, great action, amazing set design, and a really underrated Joker who steals every scene he's in, and at the end of the day, it's a pretty fun and goofy ride, and it comes in number 3. Coming in at number 2 is the Lego Batman movie. Yes, I'm surprised too. Being a spin-off to the well-received Lego movie, this movie focuses on an egotistical, douchey parody version of Batman doing his thing until things get complicated. Now, at first glance, this may look like a dumb, goofy kids movie soaked with clever jokes and great animation, and while all of that is true, this movie is also really heartfelt and it has a lot of emotional themes and character moments, and it's way smarter than people give it credit for. So yeah, this movie is surprisingly a great kids movie, sprinkled with scenes and character interactions that I'm sure everyone of all ages can sympathize with and maybe even relate to. Not only that, but this movie is pretty funny. So yeah, this is a funny kids movie with great animation, funny jokes, and a lot of heart, and it surprisingly comes in at number 2.
But I've finally seen a man, in order to make the world a better place, take a look at himself and make a change. Superman.
What?
I'm kidding. It's you!
Coming in at number 1 is The Dark Knight. I know some of you may be surprised that The Dark Knight Rises never made it onto this list, but if I'm being honest, I really don't like that movie. But I do love its predecessor. What can I say about this movie that hasn't been said already? It's without no exaggeration a cinematic masterpiece. Not only does it carry over the same brutally realistic fashion of its predecessor, but it also has a perfectly well-told story with a competent but still a somewhat arrogant Bruce Wayne, who's in way over his head, an antagonist who challenges everything Batman stands for and brings the city to its knees by well-calculated plans, who's also portrayed brilliantly by Heath Ledger.
Well, you look nervous. Is it the scars? You want to know how I got them?
And a perfect dynamic between everyone like Rachel, Alfred, Harvey, Bruce, Joker. Every single scene in this movie could be dissected for foreshadowing events, character motives, and flaws. Everything is just so well crafted. It's amazing, and there's so much emotionally impactful moments featured throughout too. I don't have anything interesting to say about The Dark Knight. It's not only a perfect Batman movie, not only a perfect superhero movie, but it's also a perfect movie, and it's my favorite Batman movie of all time.
You won't kill me out of some misplaced sense of self-righteousness, and I won't kill you because you're just too much fun.
Well, that concludes this list. What about you guys? What are some of your favorite Batman movies? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, then please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Or I may see you when the Batman 2021 releases. I'm so excited about that movie. Anyways, peace everyone. What's up everyone, this Lion Sonic fan here, and today I just wanted to properly announce the revival of a new group channel me and my friends are in called The Proteins. The Proteins was the channel me and my good friend at the time, That Kid, created so me, him, and our friend group could all share a channel and post fun, chill gaming videos together. While I don't talk to That Kid as much as I used to, and I'm not sure if he has any interest in the channel revival, I do in fact talk to most of the friends I had at the time, and now the channel is being revived. So if you get tired of me playing games alone or droning on about my thoughts on a certain film or game, then I highly encourage you to check out this channel, as this would be where all of my videos with friends will go. As far as scheduling goes, there'll be a new gaming video every Tuesday and Friday. We're planning on doing stuff like co-op playthroughs and movie madness episodes in the future, but we're still figuring out stuff like that scheduling wise. So expect further updates on the channel in the future. As far as who's on the channel, there's me, there's Brandon, who has been featured in various videos for 4 years now, DJ, who's been here just as long, Fumble, who's been my friend for 6 years now, Corey, who I've known for almost a year now and won my second TDM contest, and another Corey, who I've known for a year now but hasn't made any appearances in my videos as of yet. These guys are some of the best friends I could ask for, and I am thrilled to record with them going forward. To clear up any confusion, this isn't a clan channel, I'm already in one. This is a fun group channel that we're all going to be working on, and I am very excited. So head on over there and at the very least check it out. You'd be doing me a great favor. Thanks for listening, and if you choose so, then I will see you guys over at The Proteins. Peace out everyone.